The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated Podcast. I am Mike Azzalina, your host, and I am joined by a guy who I'm sure has had his share of special moments in his athletic career. Regzy Boo, happy Sunday afternoon, bud.
Same to you. I don't know about special. I think the coolest thing I ever did was make some free throws to beat Camden in like a Christmas tournament. And that got like written about in the paper, and it was the last time I ever got written about in like a local paper. That was like I think that's the coolest thing that happened.
Well, I think for me it was I know what it was. I had some cool moments across especially my baseball career, but I think my number one would have been my junior season. I had a tough junior season. Definitely not one of my better seasons playing, but for whatever reason, I was DHing that night, not playing the field. I do think part of it was like I was struggling so much getting me out of the field, having me DH. And I hit a 3-run go-ahead home run, which was not my forte, but I absolutely smoked one over the left center field fence against our rival on senior night. That, got me a headline but a really cool moment. The reason though that I bring this up, Regs, is, again, life update for those of you who are tuning in for the first time in a while. I went back to school administration, and I'm now a assistant principal at a high school. And there's two parts to this. The first being 2 Fridays ago, I was at one of our men's basketball games against our biggest rival, who happens to be my old school district, by the way. And they had been losing the entire game. As a matter of fact, the game started on a 13-0 run. Cumberland Valley was on a 13-0 run to start the game. And, our boys, they scratched and clawed. They got themselves back in it and hit a 3 to tie it with under a minute. And then Cumberland Valley called a timeout, inbounded from midcourt, turned it over with under 10 seconds left. Our guys pushed it, bad pass over into the corner. One of our juniors goes, retrieves it, turns, looks at the clock, takes one dribble and just floats it. And at the buzzer hits it. Like your true buzzer beater. We led for 0.2 of a second the entire game. And it was the last 0.2. And all I could think was man, what a cool moment for him, but also for all these kids sitting in this gym right now to be, to be in high school when this, young man makes that shot. But more than anything, Regs, what I walked away with was my sports loving self is not going to survive this role. I get way too invested in these games. I get way too invested and excited about these games. I mean, I was hopping around. I forgot for a second that I had to control the kids coming onto the court. I was celebrating in the corner and I realized, oh no, I have a job to do. And I ran over and I'm like, no, everybody back. But I'm also I want to get in the pile and celebrate. What a cool experience and moment. But man, I'm going to struggle so much as a fan, especially because you care about the kids so much. And the whole night, all I'm thinking is what am I going to say to them when I see them on Monday? How am I going to, they're not going to win this game. And then they do. And it's then you're celebrating. So yeah, got to figure that out, man.
You might have to just not be on duty during basketball. You need something slower. Maybe be the tennis guy or something. Go start slow and maybe work your way up to basketball when you've
Then I'm at wrestling and I'm fist pumping.
Right.
I am just struggling across the board right now.
That's really funny.
And baseball season's around the corner, so and softball, they've won states the last 2 years.
Oh wow.
So, oh yeah, they got some players. They're one of their best players going to Duke to play.
That's awesome.
But I am gonna struggle. It's gonna be because I'm even like sitting over there wanting to yell at officials, and I got to bite my lip. Like
Oh my
I got
God,
to be
that's funny.
professional, and I got to tell the kids not to yell at the
Yeah,
officials.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Meanwhile, it's taking everything out of me not to yell at the officials. So, man, it's rough. It's
That's really funny though.
yeah, because I know like you can see it, right? Like you can see this happening to me. I'm gonna send you a picture later. One of the other assistant principals sent it to me tonight. He was cracking up. It's a picture of one of our kids shooting a 3, and right over the kid's shoulder, there's me. I'm leaning back, like because I make a difference with the way.
Yeah,
And
right.
I'm gonna show it to the student tomorrow and be like, "Hey, I get a 1.5 out of this."
Yeah. I'm gonna,
Yeah,
and
like
also I'm tracking this now. All the points I help
yeah,
with.
yeah. All the points that I help with, I'm taking ownership of those,
Yeah.
and because most of the basketball guys are in my lunch, so I usually talk to them for just a few minutes, and but yeah, I'm taking if I get a 1.5, I think that's more than my entire high school career. So that's
Oh my God. It's so funny about those things. Like that game I'm talking about where I hit those free throws. It was overtime, but it ended with me missing the potentially game-winning like pass. We ran a play that like my favorite inbound play that we run from half court. Me as the 4 gets open on a back cut. Our point guard throws a perfect pass, and it just hits me right in the head and goes out of bounds. Which is talked about in the newspaper article. They asked my point guard, like, what did you think when he did that? And like, I think I had scored on that play like 6 times that season. It worked all the time. It was great. And I just completely doinked this one and somehow still,
thank goodness
hit the
there's no
free throws
video
in
of that.
overtime. I'm sure you'd have to like go back to some old, when websites were first a thing.
Yeah, and find one. I love that. That's so good. That's so good. Well, hey, we know it's been a while since we've gotten with you all. Last week was wild with the weather. It was just really hard for Regz and I to line it up
week
and make it work out. And so we appreciate your patience. We are actually recording in an afternoon, which is very odd for us. It's like 4:00 on Sunday as we sit down to do this, and we're going to hit all 3 of the big 3 of the big 4. All I get is text messages from people that the Flyers suck, so they're probably not worth the conversation right now.
I think they started okay.
They did,
and now they're like I think they're 2-10 in their last 12 or something. Like it's something really bad.
One of my good friends who's a huge hockey fan, the last 3 days where the Flyers and Sixers have played simultaneously, he will always watch the Flyers. But he has texted me each day and said, "I'm turning off the Flyers. They suck. I'm putting on the Sixers."
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, when the things turn around, I know it sounds almost like bandwagony, but we'll get someone on here. Kyle, who has been on for the Chiefs, is a Flyers guy, so he can get on and probably give us something for 5-10 minutes at some point.
We'll figure that out.
Just to feed the Flyer heads out there. But it sounds like we got some time until that's
I think so.
the case. So we're gonna start you with a quick Sixers thing, and we're gonna get into the Eagles, and then we are gonna hit the Phillies at the end, talking just their roster. So we're gonna start with the Sixers because they are playing well right now. There's some bad news floated across this week. I am struggling a little bit with it, Regz. Paul George, for those of you that don't know, is suspended 25 games. It helps the Sixers deadline wise because they don't have to pay him $11 million, which means they should be able to keep Oubre and Drummond and still be able to keep the two-way guys. I don't know what's going to happen if they try and add. I've seen, Portis is a possibility, which I would love. I've read, all the stuff about Giannis, which I just think would be ridiculously dumb, honestly. You know how I feel about him. And I just think with Joe, it wouldn't work. And I don't want to trade VJ. But right now, they are playing really well. The Paul George thing doesn't really impact my feelings on them because he hasn't been, Paul George. He did hit 9 threes on Tuesday night, which was cool. But I'm feeling some type of way about like the suspension. It was the illegal substance was in a like antidepressant that he takes. And I feel like there's got to be something that the NBA needs to figure out with that, because we can't say we value mental health of our athletes and then like, oh, but you're suspended 25 games for taking this antidepressant. Unless I read it wrong, that's what I took out of it.
Yeah, did someone report that? Because I don't remember anybody. Like, I know his statement said it, mentioned mental
That's
health.
where I got it from.
Gotcha.
That's where I got it from.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is very. It's one of those weird times where you would think almost, oh, he's recovering from these injuries. You take something much like Jose Alvarado or Kepler, right, or countless other baseball people we've seen get suspended for taking something that they were told would probably help them recover faster and get back to doing what they need to do. It is very interesting if it was something like that, like an antidepressant or some sort of medication for your mental health. That's one of those weird areas that I bet no one thought of. You know what I mean? How thorough that drug list must be, and how thorough like doctors and team doctors and trainers and all those people have to be with that. You'd think somebody would have caught that, but maybe it's just something they just haven't decided to like look into. Maybe it's just something that or maybe they haven't put two and two together. I don't know. It is one of those weird things though. Like you said, I also don't know what it could be, right? I don't know what would be in an antidepressant that would be considered performance enhancing, but I am not a doctor.
But again, would you agree it's not, from a team standpoint, I don't know that it's that much of a detriment to them at this point to lose him for 25
I think
games.
my biggest thing is his defense. Like, he's been playing pretty good defense. And with Joel being extremely limited on the defensive end, like having him out there with his size and range and length, like, is really helpful and like really makes a difference. So I think he'll be missed more on that side. He wasn't spending every game hitting 5 or 6 threes or anything like that. So it takes a sort of steady offensive guy, away, a guy who's been there, done that, can probably wake up and just score 18 points if he wants to in any basketball game that he plays. So that's tough to take away, but I think the defensive side is where he's really going to be missed.
And that's fair, because while Kelly Oubre has been really good defensively, it was nice to have both of them.
Yes.
Two guys with all that length
it's what this team severely lacks, is guys like that.
They have for a while.
Yes. They have.
That has been an ongoing issue.
Yes.
With the Sixers for a while. This might be the most length and athleticism that they've had, which is saying something to what they've been, because they still don't have enough of it. And it's probably, like I said, more than they've had in previous years where they've competed. They're coming off a 3-game win streak at home, and they're heading out west for 5 straight games. They have the Clippers, the Warriors, the Lakers, the Suns, and the Blazers. They have a back-to-back tomorrow and Tuesday before a day off on Thursday. Then they play Saturday and then Monday before coming home to finally, settle in against the Knicks in what will be a big game in the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm.
They're currently sitting in 6th place, just a game behind the teams in front of them currently, which are the Cavs and the Raptors, and 3 behind the Celtics in 3rd. So they're still there, but they're only a game and a half above the play-in line. And I'd feel much better if they were 4th. Here's where I'm at, Regz. We're starting to get a version of Joel that we haven't gotten in a very long time. Offensively, he looks back to almost what we come accustomed to before the knee stuff started. Defensively, you're right. He's not the same. And I don't know if it's like, look, I'm not going to be that guy right now because I need to make it to the postseason, and then maybe I'll be that guy in some way, shape, or form and impact the rim a little bit more. But for now, I've learned my lesson, and I'm only going to do it on one side, and that's going to be the offensive side. Because, what do we got? 5 or 6 straight games with 30-plus points right now? and doing it in all phases. I mean, when he caught the alley-oop and dunked it, when he actually caught and dunked an alley-oop the other night, I felt the smile grow on my face. It just for the fact that like it felt so good for him and you could see how excited his team was. Like his teammates were losing it. Like I thought they were going to call timeout and celebrate like he just scored his 1,000th high school point because of how excited they were. But there's optimism for that. There's optimism because Tyrese Maxey continues to get better and better every single game. I wish he would take less risks defensively, but that's a conversation for another night. VJ Edgecombe has come back down to earth offensively, but he's still a difference maker defensively. He still does enough offensively to make you know that he exists. Kelly Oubre is having a very strong season, and the role players are doing what we need them to do. I think McCain is starting to get more comfortable now, coming back from the injury, and hopefully they use him more, but offensively he's starting to settle in. There's a lot of good stuff here, but I really just want to focus on one thing. Is Joel Embiid back?
No, because he still can't jump. Like he somehow, I forget who made this point, but I think it was Tim Legler on he was on with Bill Simmons on their last podcast. And he's like, I don't know if we've ever seen a big man with better touch than Joel Embiid. And Simmons is like, you're right. Like he shoots these jumpers and they don't even hit the rim. And you're like, you forget he's 7'2", and 300 pounds. And we just haven't seen a guy like that be able to shoot like that and, shoot mid-range jumpers like that, all those things. So he's such an enormous talent that even like athletically challenged as he is, he still can go get 30 points and, or 20 points because he has this unique ability, right? As a big man to get his shot up. And when you're 7'2", it's really hard to get blocked or like not have a good sight, line of sight to the rim and all those things. I would call him back if the defense was back, honestly, and he was still doing this. I don't think we can call him fully back without the defense being what it was. And I'm not saying that like I expected the defense to come back how it was, right? With the injuries he's had, it would be ridiculous to expect him to get back to the sort of defensive player he was a few years ago before they happened. So I'm not even saying like that. I would love like just some rim protection or some show ability to deter a few guys. And I really wish like his rebounding would be a lot better because I'm not sure how you can be 7'2" and like not
just
rebound
never
well.
Been good. He's just not been a good rebounder.
I just don't. I'll never understand it as a 6'2" guy who loved rebounding. I'll never like. I wished I was 6'10". I would think, oh, how easy it would be if I was 9 inches taller. But I think we're seeing his talent show through, right? The offensive stuff and the things he's able to do on that side of the floor is just his God-given ability, right? That's his talent and his work ethic from that side showing up. Right. But I can't call him back unless the defense was back. Because I honestly think they need the defense more.
Yeah.
At this point, with what this team is, I think the defense would be more valuable than scoring 30 a night.
I do think the thing is they still need the scoring because Ty is awesome, but you got to have a second scorer. And, but that leads me to my question because you wanted to share something. You found a stat.
Yeah.
About Joel. So share that with us before we get to the deadline.
In watching, again, I don't catch games live typically, but I do watch a lot of the YouTube, the YouTube videos that the NBA puts out of like the 10-minute highlight videos. And in watching those or, stuff, clips on Twitter, blah, 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 following different people, it seemed to me that in games that Joel was scoring a lot, like the Sixers were either losing closely, having weird, like having weird second quarters, blah, blah, blah. It just seemed like something was weird when Joel was scoring a lot of points. So I've been meaning to look this up all week, and I finally did it before, as we were sitting down. Turns out I'm dead wrong. They're 5-1 when he scores 30 plus points. So I'm completely wrong, just factually, which, look, I'm not ashamed to admit. That's okay. I had a hunch. It wasn't the right one. That's fine. You're absolutely right. They still need somebody who can score like that, right? It's 2026 NBA. You have to score 120 points to even be relevant. So they need him. I still think, I'd rather see Joel at 20 points and 13 rebounds and 7 assists. You know what I mean? He is a good passer, and he can where he gets to so easily, that nail area and the free throw line, right? That's where you kill defenses. And with how good he is and big he is, and he's not Jokic passing, but he can do it. We've seen him be able to do it. I think there are times where when he's in his zone and scoring 30, you see guys, obviously Maxey knows how to play off of him. I saw some stat that Jared McCain plays awesome off of Embiid.
When he's on the floor. Yeah.
Plays great.
Yeah.
I think VJ is still learning, how to do that. I think guys like Barlow, are probably still learning how to do that. And I think if we truly wanted to see this version of this team be as good as they possibly can be, and I'm not talking about win an NBA championship, blah, blah, blah. I'm just talking about if we want to see the best version of this team, my opinion would be that he's at 20 and 7 assists, right? And because he could do it. He can do it. Look, there are going to be nights where we need him to score 30 plus, right? The other guys aren't going to have it. They need him to do what he has to do. I don't know. Again, I was factually incorrect. So hand up. Got it. No problem. It's just this feeling, right? It's just this thing I have when I do get to watch or see the highlights or things like that. It just feels like everyone's standing around watching Joel score 30 points. and we don't have a team filled of Tyrese has played with him obviously forever. They have a good relationship, and Tyrese knows that, when he can get his and what he can do. Yeah. But a lot of these other guys need help, right? They need help facilitating and getting and playing off of a guy who takes up so much gravity on the court like Joel Embiid does. So it's just one of those things. I don't know. Again, I don't think it leads to a championship, but maybe it leads to like you said, you're not in the play-in, area. Maybe you're a few games better.
Regz, all I want is a conference semi. I just want a conference final.
Yeah, I know.
Just get me to a conference final. Man.
Yeah.
That's it would be so fun to finally have that. I think for Joel especially. And so, I hear you on the 2013 7. Last night he had 40-11-4, which, I think the assists would be great.
He's unbelievable. I get it. It's just there, and maybe it's more. It's not. I think what I'm realizing as we keep talking about it is it's not the whole game, obviously, but it feels like they get into these ruts, right? Where maybe Joel has scored a couple. He's now looking to get his bucket, and everyone else is like, all right, well, we got to let him kind of do his thing. And the game does slow down, and they do get easier to defend when he's kind of doing his thing, because he's not a Shea, right? He's not like a Luka. He's not one of those guys,
right,
who facilitate a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, look, they're fun. They're at least semi-fun to watch right now.
Thank
I shouldn't
God,
say that.
yeah.
They are fun. They are fun to watch. They're a winning basketball team. Even games that they lose, outside of that weird Charlotte game that they got their doors blown off, they're in the game. I'm assuming we'll see Joel one of the next two. Well, I'm not staying up for a West Coast basketball game.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
But, he'll play in one of the next two. I'm not sure which. The deadline is on Thursday. There have been rumors about Giannis. I think we can all just tuck those away. They're not trading VJ, so that's out of the question. Every year, I feel like I say the same thing. They need a 3-and-D type player. This is very much recency bias because he had like 40 last night. But I would try and find a way to get Saddiq Bey here. The Pelicans are not a good basketball team. They have like 13 wins. They score a lot. But Saddiq Bey, and again, recency bias aside, would be a really nice fit here. A good defender, good scorer, would be a nice depth piece for them. Probably would start in Paul George's absence over Barlow. They would just Oubre would end up being the 4, and they would use Bey to go along with VJ and Tyrese. And then when Paul comes back, you've got a nice little another depth piece to add to what I still consider to be the deepest Sixers team in recent history. So that's kind of where I am. I could see them standing pat. I think that would be a bad choice just because I do feel like the conference is open. I know Detroit is winning a ton of games, but the Sixers have played them tight multiple times now. So I'm sort of in the place of like, you got to go for it. We don't know if we're getting this Joel again next year. Like, we don't know that. So go for it within reason, right? Because in 2 years, you still have the Maxey Edgecombe duo to build around.
I think that's the key thing is that this isn't a like push all your chips in trade deadline for them. Like if they're able to find something more on the margins, right? And maybe even guys who have a little bit of control, maybe at least another year. Like, I think that, again, I say that knowing that that's difficult to do, but I think guys like that is what they need to be focused on. Like, this is not we're just one piece away from winning the championship. Like that's just not the case of where this team is at. And again, as we've talked about, hopefully anything would be done with the lens of how do they play with Maxey and VJ.
Right.
Like you said, in the 3 year, 2 years from now.
Yeah, when we look further down the line.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We'll see what happens come Thursday. If they don't do anything, I won't be shocked. I'd be frustrated, but I won't be shocked.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on that. But anything else there in Sixers land before we jump onto the Birds?
I still love VJ Edgecombe.
I still love VJ too, man.
He's the best.
I couldn't agree more. I absolutely love that guy. It's hard not to, man.
He plays really so hard and he cares so much. And I can't, I love it so much.
It's very difficult not to watch him and watch the joy that he plays with.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, the dude can jump out of the building. So that's fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, nothing more than like when he had that putback dunk, he's the complete weak side guy. Like I don't watch a lot of NBA, but not all NBA players go that hard in there for that rebound.
Right.
Like there's plenty of them who just stand there and watch the ball bounce right to the other team. He never thinks that way. He's always like, what can I still do? Like, this play is not over. Like, I'm still doing everything I can to contribute. And I just love it. I love it.
Yeah, I do too. We're very fortunate that the balls literally bounced the Sixers way in the lottery. So, all right, man, let's jump across the parking lot to Lincoln Financial. Before we do, congratulations to you. You won the playoff draft.
Oh,
and pretty decisively, by the way. A solid 8-5.
All right.
The Patriots are the only reason I'm even like in the conversation. But you had 5 different teams win at least one game. I had only 3 teams win one game. So Although all three of my first round losses were all by like a combined 10 points. So that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, tough.
Yeah, tough. Finally, Regs, we come on here and we get to say the Eagles have hired an offensive coordinator.
That is
It
true.
is not a guy that we considered, when all of this started. But Regs, I have to say, from a process standpoint, that I am very pleased with what the Eagles did in this scenario. Look, we know that they went in there with Brian Dable and Mike McDaniel as 1 and 2, whatever order you want to say it. They missed on both. For whatever reason, we can sit here and it's Jalen, it's Nick, it's the fan base, like whatever. I don't care, to be honest with you. I really don't. They missed. So what the Eagles are is they're very smart and intentional. And so they widened the net, and here they are landing Sean Mannion, a 33-year-old former backup quarterback with draft pedigree. He's drafted in the 3rd round of his draft. Didn't really have a lot of run as a quarterback in the pros and decided to go to coaching pretty quickly. And it has paid off. He's considered to be one of the young upcoming stars in the coaching game right now. And the big drawback of all of it is that he doesn't have play calling experience. And we just went through this last year. What I've said to people along the way, and then I want your thoughts on this specific part of the con, because I think there are a lot more positives than negatives. I think this is one of those high risk, high reward type things, but I think there's much more of a floor for him than there is for most people without play calling experience. This idea of not having play calling, for me, doesn't carry as much weight with him for a variety of reasons. The first being he was a backup quarterback who largely is involved in listening to the play calling happen in the room throughout the week in game planning for the week upcoming. And just the names that he has been around, right? Like Kevin O'Connell or Sean McVay, who he played under, Clint Kubiak, who he played under. He coached with Matt LaFleur. Like, he has been around some really, really popular offensive minds. Some names that when you talk about the best offensive minds in the sport, he's been around them, whether as a backup quarterback, as a quarterback coach, whatever it may be. If you look at Malik Willis, the difference in him from Tennessee to Green Bay, I mean, Malik's going to be starting somewhere. And he has personally said a lot of it is Sean Mannion. And so I don't know that I'm as concerned about the play calling chops. And lastly, I'll say this. If you watch the Shrine Bowl this week, he called the plays. And it was logical and mirrored. And he had to implement it in a week. And it worked. Now, I also understand he's at a massive advantage because defenses don't really have much to prep for. Right. So he's at a but the play calling itself made sense. Like, things were married together. So it wasn't as much results based as it was just the forethought that went into the play calling experience. So I know that we have a little bit of like PTSD from the coach that we're leaving behind in this sense of never having play calling experience. But I feel pretty good about this because of where he's coming from and the pedigree with which he comes. So I'll pause there and see where you're at on them hiring a guy who has no play calling experience after what we just experienced as a fan base.
Yeah, it's certainly, I don't know. Like, yeah, I think it still has to be a concern given what we just saw and watched. My only hope is that a guy who is coming from professional quarterbacking, and like you said, he has a headset on as the backup quarterback. He's listening to all the plays. He's listening to how these guys, these really good play callers sequence their plays, how, what they're saying on the headset, all that stuff. So you would hope just through osmosis that some of that comes through. And we're not going to know this until we get into it, but you just hope that where he's coming from and who he's been able to learn from gives him that, like, the feel. Like, Patullo had no feel. There was no, oh, this just happened, we can pivot to this. And even if it didn't work, it would be like, okay, well, that didn't work. Now let's go to this, right? And we'll try this and see how they go. And then boom, and right? Part of quarterbacking is I just did this. What did they do? Now we're going to try this. What did they do to go back, right? To counter that. What can we do next that can, take them out of what they thought we were going to do? On and on and on. I don't think we can expect it to be perfect. And I don't think we expected it to be perfect with Patullo either. That's the thing. We didn't expect it to be perfect right away. But he showed no ability to adapt and come up with something that could counter what was happening on the field. Like, what happened for, 16 weeks? Like, nothing ever changed, it seemed like. So at the very least, you hope that he will have ideas on how to do that. And again, they might not work all the time, but you hope that that just leads to learning and coming up with something else. And we're going to do this now, right? We're going to try this and we're going to do that and all those things. So I don't know. That's my hope for that side of it.
So a couple more pieces to this, and then I want to jump over to the other side of the ball. But one thing that I found to be really interesting, I did not know. Tom Clements, who is considered like one of the greatest quarterback coaches of all time, handpicked Mannion to replace him in Green Bay, which I think says a lot about what he's thought, the way he's thought of in coaching circles, because to be handpicked by someone that literally is called the quarterback Yoda, like that was Tom Clements' nickname in coaching circles in the NFL. And he was like, no, this is the guy who's replacing me. And to see what he's done with Jordan Love, to see what he's done with Malik Willis, there's clearly something there. And I don't know if you've seen it. I've seen it many places. He's got a major focus on footwork and how that dictates how effective and how impactful you are in the passing game with your timing, which we know is a Jalen issue.
Mm-hmm.
Timing is a major issue for Jalen. It's why he's not as comfortable throwing over the middle of the field, because he doesn't anticipate as well. And so I shouldn't say he doesn't want to. They don't want him to throw over the middle of the field. But if they can figure some of that out, there's a real chance we see some of it.
Yeah.
The other thing that has happened here is that they brought in John Grizzard, who's the former offensive coordinator in Tampa Bay, and he's going to be the pass game coordinator. And if you look at some of his passing charts from his time as passing coordinator in Tampa, you'll see, man, oh man, do they throw the ball all over the yard. And I mean middle of the field, outside of the hashes, a lot of screens, a lot of motion. And I'm going to talk about that here in just a moment. But I think there's also the experience of being a play caller involved in that. And it wouldn't shock me if they bring one more experienced play caller in as like a consultant for him. I think this hire was predicated on the idea of like, we're going to get as many people in here to support him in being a play caller, because we did not do that for his predecessor.
Yeah.
So we have to do that here. I do have a chart that I want to run through, but anything that you want to add to what I just said before I move along here?
I'm extremely happy they didn't just go with like some guy just to go with him. Like, right. I don't even like, I don't know. Yeah. Everyone's, kind of busting on Jim Bob, but like that would have been what we're talking about. Like,
right.
I'm really happy that he doesn't come from like someone that Nick knows, right? Or previously coached with or something like that. I love the fact that he's new and will be given the play calling responsibility and hopefully the autonomy to like do what he wants to do.
And so I think, there's a lot of that, like just, and to be able to bring in some of his own designs and creativity and some of that And we've had luck with some backup quarterbacks. I mean, Kellen Moore is a former backup quarterback in the league, and look at how well this offense ran. I mean, they were just a middle of the road offense,
I
and
know.
it was awesome. And so I am excited to see what happens here. But let me just run through some tendencies. And this is from Daniz on the PHLY podcast. He put out a chart. I'm not going to go through all of it. You can find it on Twitter. It's a great chart. It breaks down a comparison of the Eagles, the Packers, and Tampa, so that you can see where the Eagles were in comparison to these two, and maybe how they marry together a little bit. So, Eagles ran 71% of their plays out of shotgun last year. It's 6th in the NFL. League average was 61%. Green Bay ran 57% of their plays out of shotgun, and Tampa ran their 61% out of shotgun. Tampa was 16th in the NFL. Green Bay was 22nd. So we're probably going to see a lot more under center. Green Bay and Tampa Bay ranked 12th and 14th respectively in that area. They ran under center 37% of the time in Green Bay, 35% of the time in Tampa Bay. Pass percentage went under center. The Eagles were 31st in football in passing the football under center. Green Bay was 3rd at 38%, and Tampa Bay was actually 28th at 25%. So interesting to see how they marry those two up moving forward. Another interesting one was pass percentage in shotgun. The Eagles were they threw the ball 72% of the time, which ranked 28th. Tampa threw the ball 82% of the time, which ranked 9th. Green Bay threw the ball 69% of the time, which ranked 32nd. So that's another area where it's going to be interesting to see how they marry that together, right? Play action was big in Green Bay, not as much in Tampa Bay. So again, and not a lot in Philly. So there's a little bit of like Tampa Philly marriage here.
Yeah.
Here's where I feel like the Tampa Bay Green Bay piece marries pretty well. And they don't run a lot of hitches. They run more outs. Green Bay ran more outs than anybody in football. Daniz did clarify this, though. Most of those outs were tight end outs to get someone else open, essentially. 11 personnel. Tampa Bay ran 11 personnel 69% of the time, which ranks 2nd in the NFL. That means one running back, one tight end, for those that are wondering. The Eagles ran more, I'm looking for it here, 12 personnel and 13 personnel than anything else. They ran 13 personnel 6% of the time, which was 10th in the NFL, and 12 personnel 27% of the time, which was 12th in the NFL. So Green Bay ran 12 personnel 33% of the time, which was 6th. It's very interesting to see how they're going to marry these tendencies moving into this season and how quickly they can get this together.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I do think Grizzard's mostly there for the play calling thing. I do believe that the offense is mostly going to be Mannion's, but we will wait to see, Regz.
Yeah, that's right.
I know we're going pretty long here, so I'm going to ask this question pretty quickly. If you had to put a percentage on Vic Fangio retiring, because that's the rumor today, what would you put it on?
I don't know. It seems like it should be in like the 70s.
70 that he's going to retire?
Yeah. It seems like he probably deep down wants to, but people are convincing him to stay somehow.
Well,
so I don't know.
What worries me a little bit is that, I don't know if you remember, it was locker cleanout day. They asked N'Kobe if he thought Vic would stick around.
Yeah.
You remember what he said?
He was like, I don't know.
Well, he said, I don't know. And then he said, well, Vic always told us that he would stop coaching when it wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
That is like super concerning.
Yeah, I'm hoping that maybe it's just one of those things where he's just gotten to the point, he's done it so long. He got the Super Bowl, right? I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm hoping that
They-
like it's
but
not
they,
the
like,
Eagles who
they-
aren't making it fun.
Yeah, but they would have dropped the. I mean, they would have dropped the ball for, pun sort of intended, because their best possible replacement is now the defensive coordinator on their rival.
Yeah.
I mean, it like that's a huge loss for them. It was to begin with. Now it's an even bigger deal because Vic might be leaving. And I wonder if they were blindsided, because I don't see how they wouldn't have been like, hey, hang tight one more year.
Yeah,
The job
yeah,
is
yeah.
yours.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a rough situation if it was known. And so I hope they can hold on to him, because we're at a point where like it's going to be hard to replace him.
Well, yeah.
And I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard to replace him regardless, but it's going to be really hard to replace him if you're at this point in the offseason when most guys are off the board.
Yeah.
We're going to be back where we were in 23.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully they can convince him one more year with the idea of like, all right, we're gonna groom your predecessor.
Yeah, right.
Or the guy coming after you here. And
yeah, or also like you like who do you think, right? Who do you think out of who might be available can come in and help these guys, right? Do what you've already established, right? Just
we can
build
keep this
off,
going.
yeah, to build off what you've already put in place here.
Yeah, I put it at less than a 50% chance, man.
All right,
I don't
good.
think so. I don't think so. I think I would be really shocked if he's not here for next season. All right, man, you ready to talk about the Phils?
Always.
All right, this is where we're gonna wrap today. It's a weird time right now because pitchers and catchers report in what, like 2 weeks?
Yeah.
It's like 10 days or something like that. And there's not a ton to talk about. And I don't want to necessarily predict the opening day roster without spring training. But what I did was I went back and looked at last year's opening day roster. And all I'm doing is like, here are the guys that are being replaced. And I'm not putting names next to everybody. There are certain places where I could put a name next to a guy and say, that's for sure happening. I'm going to give some like names that are options, and we can talk through whether or not that's an upgrade. How's that sound?
Let's do it.
All right. So let's start with the like absolutes, home runs. We know this guy is replaced with this guy, right? The first being Jordan Romano was on the opening day roster last year. He has been replaced with Johan Duran. Are we cool in saying that's an upgrade, Regz?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad we can agree on that. Thank goodness. Whoo, baby. All right. The second one, I don't know that it's as clear cut. I think it's tough to say, and I'll explain why. Matt Strahm out. Brad Keller in.
Yeah.
And so, Strahm was the de facto setup guy. I think we can agree on that. Keller will be the setup guy. I don't know, man. I don't know that it's definitely not as clear cut as the Romano de Duran thing. Keller was fantastic last year. He's done it for 1 year. Strahm did it for a while.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I'm ready to say it's not an upgrade, but I don't know that I'm ready to say it is an upgrade. Like, I don't know. Is it neutral? Like, how do we feel going into the season with Strahm being replaced by Keller?
I think we're at very least, like at minimum, we're neutral with everything we know right now.
All right, that's fair. Let's call it a neutral. Okay. Let's go to one that I think is a net negative. And it's I don't want to say that because I think it's unfair, but I just think when we look at it at this point, there's no other way to say it's that it could be. And that's Ranger Suarez out, Andrew Painter in.
Yeah.
And it's unfair in a sense to Painter, but like, we don't know what we're getting.
Right.
It's an unknown quantity.
That's what I mean. It's just the nature of how it is right now.
Yeah.
It's not anything against Painter because we just don't know. There's nothing to go off of.
Right. And we know what we lost in Ranger.
Yeah.
At least when Ranger's healthy.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Let's do another one we're certain of. Or not certain of, but we know it's a trade for trade, a guy for a guy. Nick Castellanos out. Adolis Garcia in. Regz, I'm going to say something that might not be super positive. or might not be very well welcomed by the fan base. I say it's a win for the Phillies. I don't know offensively what this is going to look like. I would say the floor is probably what Nick gave us. What I will say is that it's a huge boost defensively.
Yeah.
So for that, I'm saying it's a net positive, not a huge one, but enough of one. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I think you have to put it in the positive light because of the defense stuff.
Right. Right. Okay. Here's another one. Max Kepler out. Justin Crawford in. I don't know where I stand here. Now you could argue me here and say that like it should be Rojas out, Crawford in, but I went with the more like we know Max played every day. We know Justin's gonna play every day. That's why I did it that way. I it's hard to say. It's hard to say it's a positive because again, it's almost like the Ranger Painter thing.
I think this is like the paint. Yeah, I think this is like the Painter thing. I think it has to be a negative at the very least because we know Kepler played really good defense. Like he was a really good defender.
Like 20 home runs.
And again, we expect Justin Crawford not to be bad, like not to be a bad defender, but he's also playing major league center field and he's not like, again, we're not taking anything away from the kid. He could be fantastic at it, which we hope he is.
Yeah.
But we don't know yet. So.
Right. So I think it's fair to put it there. I don't necessarily love that, but I think we kind of have to.
Yeah.
I think we kind of have to. Okay. As long as we're in agreement there. I'll be honest, I don't love it.
I agree, but it's one of those weird ones where I think we have to, like you said, I think we have to.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then we'll go to Johan Rojas. I don't know how I feel about this. Let's do this. Let's do a combination because I don't know how this fits. Johan Rojas and Cody Clemens out. Otto Kemp, Dylan Moore in.
I have no idea what to do.
I think that's a neutral for me. Okay. And so let me say this. Cody Clemens was fantastic. Like he was fantastic for the Phillies. He went to Minnesota. He was fine there. He's good there. Johan Rojas barely saw the major leagues last season.
Yeah.
Otto Kemp played with a fracture in his knee and looked like he was a capable Major League Baseball player. So I am kind of excited to see what we get with a healthy Otto Kemp playing whatever it is that he's playing. Now, Dylan Moore, for those of you that don't know, is a new addition to the Philadelphia Phillies, literally as of Friday night. And he's like a career 205 hitter. So like, let's not get too excited. But this dude can pick it at like 5 different positions. He won a Gold Glove. Like he's like a legit defender who can absolutely pick it anywhere. So, and they gave him like this really interesting deal that he can make like $3.5 million by making the team. So they're going to give him every chance to make the team. And he's just got to be like, your 26th guy. Like that's really what he's here for. I got it as a neutral, maybe a slight advantage for the Phillies, just because I don't know that you really lose anything. I guess you lose Cody, but you didn't play a lot, right? Kemp's going to get a lot of playing time. Yeah. So I'll give it a net neutral here. I'll give it a net neutral.
Yeah.
All right. This is a fun one, and you're probably going to say the same thing. I'm going to do it as a group, okay? So this just kind of makes me laugh just because of the some of the names. I totally forgot who the Phillies had in their bullpen last year. I don't know if you remembered, but it's actually kind of hilarious. So Joe Ross.
Yep.
Right? Jose Ruiz.
Yep.
Carlos Hernandez. Out. In some combination of McCambly, the Rule 5 pick, Kyle Backus, the left-hander they traded for out of Arizona. Kyle Backus. Tim Meza, who was there last year. at the end of the year. Jonathan Bolin, the guy they traded for in the Strom deal, and Zach Pop, who they signed to I think one of those two-way type of deals that they've done with Stubbs.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, I don't know. I really like Jonathan Bolton. I will tell you, I'm very bullish on Jonathan. I am also bullish on McCambley. Like, I'm very bullish on him too. I don't know who the last guy will be. I will tell you, Regz, I still think there's a chance that Zach Wheeler could be back in April, and we're talking about who am I missing from the rotation moving back to the pen? Taiwan Walker moving back to the pen.
Oh, yeah.
And one of these guys doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I will tell you, I feel very good about this bullpen this year. I think it's a really good bullpen heading into the season. So I got it as a net positive all the way around. I don't know if you have a challenge for me there.
I mean, I really hope it's not worse, because then something very bad has happened.
I don't know that it's going to be worse.
Something very bad has happened.
I feel really good about this bullpen. Just having Duran back there for the ninth inning is, its own sort of beast. But so I guess my point in doing this exercise was, the infield looks the same, right? The outfield is like almost entirely brand new, with the exception of the Brandon Marsh Otto Kemp thing. And this year we just get full year Otto Kemp. The rotation looks the same, could look identical if Zach is able to get himself back in April, and the Phillies are pretty hopeful that he will. And then I think the bullpen's better. So, look, they had some down years last year from some guys. Bryce wasn't good. Bryson wasn't good for a while, not until after the All-Star break. Marsh was great from May on. Kepler was meh. Pretty much all year. Nick wasn't that good last year. Trey was great.
Yep.
JT was down. Bohm was down. Obviously, Kyle was fantastic. I do expect a good year out of Bryce. I expect Bryson to be better. I expect Trey to be, pretty much the same. I think Bohm's going to have a pretty good year from a free agent year, walk year perspective. 90 RBIs is not out of the question. I don't know that JT's offense can get worse, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
So even if it's like the same as it was, he's going to be hitting 7th or 8th anyway. And if he's giving you the defense and comfort with the pitching staff as he always does, fine. And then it really just comes down to, what does Adolis Garcia bring you offensively, and what does Justin Crawford bring you offensively? And you go from there. So my point in the exercise was, the bullpen is entirely new.
Yeah.
Like you really only have Kerkering and Banks out there that started the year with you last season. That's it. The bullpen is brand new. They reinvented the entire thing. And when you look at postseasons the last couple of years, the offense sucked. The bullpen might have sucked just as much.
Yeah.
So I think, it was really just to see, okay, running it back is an acceptable thought, but maybe not as real as we imagined to begin with, because it's a very different group, especially out there in center field.
Mm-hmm. It's, I think, like most fans, they're like only focused on the big stuff, right? They don't care that the team's a little bit different, like on the fringes and the bullpen, especially. Nobody looks at that or thinks about that. It's just, we have the same guys, right? Bryce, Trey, Kyle, JT, all the big names, nobody changed, nobody's different, blah, blah, blah. I'm really hopeful that's like, I would love Trey to have another year like he did last year. Kyle isn't going to hit 60 home runs. Like, we know that. We got it. Hopefully it's not a huge drop off though. Yes, we need Bryce to be better. Flat out. We just need it to happen. And we need Bowman, Stott, and Marsh and Kemp to be serviceable, average to above average major league players. We're not asking them to be superstars. They're not. That's not their ceiling.
Right.
But they need to be better than average if this team wants a shot against those damn Dodgers. God almighty. And I hope it happens. I hope it does.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, it's definitely something that we'll have to keep an eye on as we move forward. I do believe that there's probably another move or two on the fringe of starting pitching. I think that they'll add another guy. You need depth. If Wheeler can start the year, you go about 6-ish, 7.5 or 6.5 deep, because I consider a couple of those relievers like Bolin a guy who can give you a start. But you need 10 guys to make it through a year.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to find that throughout the season. So guys that will take a minor league deal and go down to AAA and pitch down there for a couple of months. But we'll definitely keep a close eye on the Phillies roster moving forward and into camp. Anything else for the good of the cause tonight, buddy?
Can't wait to see him playing baseball. I'm ready.
I know.
I'm ready.
As cold as I am right now, I am ready for warm weather. So, all right, everybody, we appreciate you coming on, listening, checking us out. Go ahead and wherever you get your podcasts, start there, follow, subscribe, and then go to YouTube. Click the subscribe button below us here on the video. And go to those socials. We're still building out a plan to make it work.
I'm almost done.
Regz is almost done.
I'm almost done the plan.
He's almost done the plan. At the Mic Drop 5, at Big Regz with a Z on Twitter, at the Phixated Podcast on Instagram, at the Phixated Pod on TikTok, and Phixated fan page on Facebook. Merchandise link in the show description below. We look forward to talking to you at some point next week. We will be back. Until then, be kind to yourselves, be kind to one another. Tell someone you love them. We love you. And I don't really know what to say right now. There's not much going on. I guess, Sixers, I won't be awake to watch you, but go get some.
We love you, VJ.
Oh, my God. Deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.